Welcome to the first episode of Coast to Coast. My name is Jeremy Whitney, and this is
Ed Bollier.
and yeah, we're just a couple guys who thoroughly enjoy football, and whether that be analytically, old school mentality, whatever you want to call it, it's just something that we enjoy, and yeah, this is just the first conversation that we're going to have about our ideas and all that type of stuff. So, what I think we're going to start with, say, Vikings Dolphins, and just kind of go from there. What were your takeaways, dude? Like, it was a surprisingly interesting game, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many. I mean, right off the bat, quarterback play was awful. Gotta say that.
So if you remove
pretty clunky.
If you remove like 30 of the penalties, they had that one drive where it was they like what 3-4 penalties in a row, and they had like it ended up being like first and 30 or whatever. But I mean, those plays worked. Those plays got like 20 plus yards, like 3 or 4 times in a row. And if there weren't penalties, I mean, Skylar Thompson didn't look terrible. Kirk Cousins.
No, he didn't.
I mean, yeah. But, no, yeah, the quarterback play for sure.
Skylar Thompson looked better than any other seventh-round pick you're going to roll out there.
Seventh-round pick?
Teddy Bridgewater looked awful, though.
Yeah, from what I saw, full transparency, didn't watch the whole game. But from what I did see through like halfway through the third quarter, he just, I don't know. And then he took that one shot, like straight. It looked like straight to the head. I was like, "Oh, Teddy, don't run! Like, what are you doing? You're not Josh Allen."
Because
like,
didn't he just have it? Didn't he just come back from a concussion? Wasn't that like what he just got cleared? Like barely before the game, he got cleared from the concussion protocol.
Yeah, so hopefully he doesn't end up back there because it's obviously a scary situation. But yeah, to your point, I mean, it was a little bit of a barn burner, minus like a few like plays here or there. Like Justin Jefferson, obviously as always, he may not have the crazy numbers now because of how people play him defensively, but like.
Well, that was the amazing thing with him was he basically got shut down and quietly just went over 100 yards.
Yeah, like super strange.
You know what I mean? Because it was just like if watching the whole game, I don't really remember a ton from him other than like a couple of big chunk plays. So it's like yeah, if you look at the box score, you're like, oh wow, like Jefferson had a great game. But like if you're actually watching the game, like you said, it's like. I barely even noticed him during the course of the game.
Yeah, the Dolphins.
Because, Kirk is more of a roller coaster than Wentz is.
Yeah,
as a quarterback, you know what I mean?
For sure, he can definitely. Yeah, he can definitely. I mean, especially this year. This year in general, Kirk is like. Yeah. You said Kirk, right? I just want to make sure we're talking about the same person.
Kirk. Yeah.
Kirk
Cousins.
I mean, he just hasn't looked very. I don't know. They're 5-1 though, so like, if he can kind of figure it out.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of that's thanks to the defense.
Of course. I mean, there was Za'Darius Smith, obviously, kind of a bummer. He's not in Baltimore, but hey. You win some and you lose some in free agency. But, yeah. I mean, Harrison Smith's obviously still doing that one. I know. Because in the building. And then the weird leak. And, damn, man.
On that piece of paper.
Yeah. It'll be all right.
But no, you're right. Darius he's playing defensive player of the year type football. He's all over the place, man.
You still have Danielle Hunter. I believe Dalvin Tomlinson is still there. Your boy.
Dalvin Tomlinson's still in the middle.
Yeah.
And then you got Danielle Hunter on the other side.
And then I really like how they replaced Anthony Barr. Obviously, not the same obvious player, but hit with Hicks. Hicks was a kind of low key,
Yeah.
quiet. He made a couple in the. Again, I only watched till the third, about the third quarter, halfway through the third quarter. But Hicks was making plays, dude, and he's always been solid. He just a
Yeah, so yeah, he was fantastic with Philly. But yeah, him and Kendricks together, you got two like sideline to sideline linebackers that are just
yeah.
in every play. I mean, they were the interceptions Smith had.
Yeah.
Kendrick and Hicks almost ruined it because they were all right there fighting for that ball. It literally hit. I don't know if it was Kendricks or Hicks. It hit one of them in the helmet, and that was why Smith still came down with it. Smith had it, and then him and Kendrick, I think, were both of their hands were underneath it when it was coming down, and then the three of them were like banging into each other, rolling around on the turf.
I mean,
thankfully Harrison just came away with it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. No, that was I was like, a lot was happening. And to me, it was clear. I might be a little biased just because, like, I used to play, like, when I played football back in high school, defense, and like, we've talked about this. We enjoy
linebacker, more importantly, right?
A little bit of linebacker, yeah, a little bit of outside linebacker, but that's neither here nor there. But I mean, some of my favorite Super Bowls over time were like the Legion of Boom versus the greatest offense ever, alleged greatest offense ever. You know what I mean? That was a great game. Obviously, the 2000 Ravens. That was a great game. Unfortunately, for your team, it was not, but for my team, fantastic.
He's payback this week.
Bastard. Yeah, he's a Giants fan. I'm a Ravens fan.
I am a Giants fan. A lifelong Giants fan.
I will say, not to digress, we'll get back to the Dolphins and the Vikings game, but I will say we kind of were higher than most with key contingencies on the Giants. Like, I'm not necessarily surprised.
On the Giants,
Yeah. Yeah, no, obviously there's nothing. Ravens should be 6-0 if they didn't collapse 3 times this year. But and that's no slight to your Giants because they played a hell of a fucking game. And Brian Dable,
no, absolutely not. At the very least, they should be 5-1.
Yes, at the very least, they should be 5-1. But back to the Giants. I mean, I think we were both pretty high on them as long as the offensive line held up. Obviously, you have Andrew Thomas. Why am I talking about this? How about you talk about your team, my dog? That was embarrassing. How about you talk about your team, man?
I think you're right. I think we both, I'd love to. Thank you, Jeremy. I think we were both, I think we were both very realistic. I think you were a little bit higher on them than I was, even me being the fan. But I think as a whole, I think they've done everything I expected from them in a realistic season. I think the surprising thing for me is still the record. The record is completely surprising to me because they've been doing everything I expected on defense. Because last year their defense was great. They gave up, too many points last year because I think they gave up somewhere near like 29 points, average 29 points a game, giving them up. And this year it's down to like 20, 21, something like that.
I mean, that's
maybe even lower than that. Maybe like 19.
That's the new NFL, though. There's no more defense.
But I knew coming in that this defense was good, and then they added a ton of pieces. Obviously, adding Thibodeau is a big deal, and then even somehow the addition by subtraction with getting rid of Bradbury, which I didn't necessarily love from a player standpoint.
He's playing
the building standpoint. I completely understood it.
Yeah,
it sucks because it's like within your own division, you got him and Slay together with Philly,
and he's playing
coming in.
He's playing very well.
He was ridiculous. He was ridiculous this week. Him and Slay took over that game.
But that's like it's just good roster management. You know what I mean? You guys had to dump that
Oh,
salary,
absolutely
get
it
him
is.
on. Like you said, it's just it's what you got to do. But I mean,
Right.
well, Thibodeau can't be good because he talked about NFTs once or whatever the fuck interview
Yeah.
happened,
Much
and
of a personality.
yeah, he's too opinionated, doesn't care about football enough. Well, what I saw at post game
It's a clout
was
chaser.
a guy crying. Yeah, exactly, cloud chaser. A guy literally
Yeah.
crying because he was so excited and because he had so much passion for the game.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
like, what is this? It's ridiculous.
He's been everything that you would want out of a first round pick. It's like, yeah, did it take 6 weeks for him to get his first sack? Yeah. I don't care. Want to know why?
No.
Because he's getting pressure when he's on the field.
Yeah,
Him,
he's getting pressure.
Ojulari and Dexter Lawrence, they're pressuring the quarterback. I don't care if they're getting sacks. I don't need a
Yep.
sack. You know what
Yep.
happens when you pressure a quarterback and he throws an incompletion? Same thing with a sack.
Yep.
You're stopping
Well,
him. I don't care. I don't care if you sack him 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage. It does the same thing. Yeah, is it pushing him back a little bit? Yeah. Does it put him in a worse spot? Yeah. Statistically, it does. But realistically, if they're getting pressure, the sacks will come. I don't need him to get 15, 16 sacks a game to be worth the money. I need him to make an impact on the game.
Yep.
And on top of that, he's a guy that can drop into coverage too. So
He-
I don't need him to just be a sack monster. That's not who he is.
No. Well, and he was the reason why they won that game because he not only strip sacked Lamar, but also tackled Lamar.
Right.
So Lamar couldn't go get the ball. Like, that's such a high IQ play
Yeah.
for someone who doesn't give a fuck about football. Like, I don't know. That was just ridiculous. And back to your point,
Yeah.
you guys have Wink. You know what Wink needed the entire time he was in
Right.
Baltimore?
That was the big
And-
thing for me.
like he needed interior pressure. You have Dexter Lawrence, who is arguably the best, other than Aaron Donald. That guy's obviously in his own like realm.
Yeah.
But like,
And
or Chris
Jones.
Yeah, Chris Jones. Chris Jones has been. I mean, that strip sack. Well, I'm sorry, roughing the passer penalty. But yeah, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, like
Roughing
other-
the passer. THE, capital THE, the passer. Because it was Tom
Yeah.
Brady, the passer.
yeah,
That doesn't apply to
yeah.
all passers.
No,
Tackles anybody else, doesn't matter.
Derek Carr too, though. Josh Allen's. We don't need to get.
Yeah,
to
that's
that.
true. Yeah, it did happen with Derek Carr too, yeah.
That's been beaten with a dead horse. The whole roughing the passer thing this year. So, but yeah,
Yeah. But
like
but like you said, so with the Giants, just to wrap it up real quick,
yeah,
I'm very happy with where they stand. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself because I think the record, focusing on the record is getting too far ahead at this point in the season. I'm gonna wait a little while to get too excited because as much as like we're at that point in the season where they're throwing out the strength of schedule and who's got the easiest matchups and who's got the toughest matchups. And they're saying Giants have one of the easiest runs down the stretch, but it's like they also play the Eagles twice,
the Cowboys.
to close out the year. We play, the Giants play them in December and January. So it's like, it's crunch time. So it's like, that's going to be a big thing to play the best team in the league. Arguably, some people might not say that that's them. Some people might say it's the Bills or Chiefs, but arguably the best team in the NFC.
Yes. I don't think it's arguable.
So like that's
I think the Eagles are the best team in the NFC, and I don't really see anyone.
Oh, I agree. I'm just
because they just
somebody starts firing back.
Yeah, because they manhandled the Cowboys, who would be the only other person that I'd be like, you know what I mean? Because to your point, we need to be realists about the New York Giants. I wouldn't be shocked if they ended up 8-10, or I'm sorry, 8-9. I also wouldn't be shocked if they were 11 wins and won the division. I mean, Brian Dable, the way he's coaching, man, like the range of outcomes.
They do still have a lot of very winnable games.
But to your point,
even with the issues they have.
Yeah. To your point, playing the Eagles twice, Cowboys again, I mean, depending on which wins.
Cowboys with Dak at that point.
And depending on which Carson Wentz you get that week, that could be a tough out too. That defense is looking better. And I mean, the NFC least turned into the NFC beast very quickly.
That's for sure.
It's quite.
But yeah, I think the big issue right now is the offense. The offense is making things happen, but like they need to be more consistent, because when they do face those really good teams, I think that's going to be the big test. Is they can't only rely on Barkley and only rely on Jones to pick stuff up on their feet, because that's mostly what's happening is that stuff. Now, guys, they've got the rookies in there now, like Bellinger's making some big impacts from the tight end position, and then they finally got Wan'Dale Robinson in there, who looked really good, but he was on limited snaps coming back from the knee. So it's like, who knows what will happen? They're not a super deep offensive team, but maybe they can make some plays. And the offensive line is getting better and better each week. Neil actually graded positively this week for once.
What did I say?
2 pressures.
What did I say? Relax.
No,
Thomas
I know.
was ass his whole rookie season. And now he's one of the best tackles.
Yeah, no, well, that's what I said too. Remember, I was like, I'm hoping that it's just like he's getting it all out of the way, like Thomas did.
Yeah,
which I'm hoping he does, because I think the two of them are going to be great for a long time.
I know Leatherwood didn't work out for the Raiders, but I mean, Alabama offensive linemen and then there's been some misses obviously with that offensive line, but you have some people that are like Jedrick Willis. Right, he was from Bama, I think.
Yeah, Will's just from Bama.
Yeah, so there's been a couple guys, and obviously they're solid. Some are better than others. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. But I don't know. Neil just looks like his college tape was he's like Kayvon Thibodeau which is obviously saying something. Kid's such an explosive athlete for being 315 pounds, you don't get guys. I mean, he looks like Tyron Smith, and that's
right.
Kind of enough said. Having a 6-pack at playing offensive tackle and being big enough to play offensive tackle in the NFL is pretty outstanding. But yeah, Neil's playing better. The interior, obviously, like they're kind of doing. You at least have some pieces, and then you have a first-round pick next year. You guys aren't like devoid. You have some cap space. Like the Giants could really pull an Eagles type rebuild very quickly, like pretty quickly. You have Dable and Schoen, or a Bills type rebuild. Because where I stand with DJ. I'd say give him at least another year. You know what I mean? Like maybe.
And I think that's probably what they're going to end up doing.
Franchise tag him, worst case. Like it is what it is. It is what it is.
I think that's part of the thing too with this is like if they continue to play as well as they have, even though he hasn't exactly excelled.
Yeah.
He's not throwing for a ton, because that was like even when he was playing badly his first couple of years, it was like he was throwing for a ton. He's throwing for 300, 350 yards a game and throwing a couple, but he's cleaned up the turnovers, because he's only got 2 interceptions.
Only 2 interceptions.
He's only got 2 fumbles.
And he
so it's like he's not giving the ball up. So that's really good. And he's still using his legs, even though they're like, oh, is he gonna do that because last year he had the neck injury and he had the ankle injury and everything like that. But he hasn't stopped doing that. And in this offense they're dialing it up. Because in the past, with Garrett wasn't doing anything with designed runs.
The worst offense
when he was scrambling and he was in trouble, and he had to just run to make something. Like, granted, he's doing that sometimes now, where he's just running to make something. But they're doing a lot of designed runs with him too, because Dayball and Kafka have the capacity to actually do that. To know hey, we don't exactly have any wide receivers, and we can't just always give the ball to Barkley. So let's chalk something up for DJ to get the ball out there, because every time he runs, he's picking up a first down.
Yeah, no, it's Well, but to your point, so he's cut down he's cut down the turnovers. He's gotten. It seems like he has a
Yeah.
little bit more pocket awareness now. Obviously, the interceptions aren't really a thing anymore. And I mean, who is he throwing to, dude? Like, because Wandale's been
Nobody.
out, Galladay's been obviously MIA.
Galladay's been out.
Who knows what's been, and even when he's been in, like I don't know what's going on with that guy. Wandale's been out. I'm sorry, Tony's been out.
Tony hurt one hamstring and then hurt the other the next week, and
he's explosive, man. That he's explosive.
He is.
Though.
I mean, he's an amazing player, but can't get him on the field.
Yeah,
it's like John Ross.
Yeah. I mean,
like when they were like, watch out when he gets out there, he's going to be blowing people up, and he did, and then all of a sudden he's like limping off to the sideline, and that's Tony. Tony blew up against the Cowboys last year, and then he punched somebody in the face, and we never saw him again. And it wasn't even because of his suspension; it was just because he got hurt too.
Dude, yeah. And then Slayton. I mean, Slayton's good. Darius Slayton's he's going to be. If
you
you
just
guys
don't like him for some reason. I don't know what it is about this.
And they have a connection.
The new guys don't like him.
Like I don't understand. Him and DJ have a connection deep. Like, why wouldn't you utilize that?
He was fantastic week 5.
Like, what are we?
When, he had no other options. Slayton was fantastic. Yeah, I think he went over 100 yards. It might have been a little less than that, whatever. But he had a fantastic game. And then it was like, oh, Wandale's back. We drafted this guy. You got to throw it to him.
Like, come on, man. You got to throw it to you got to feed the hot hand. And Slayton had a great game that game.
Yeah.
Like, speaking of, who it's not entirely, who am I thinking of? Not Slayton. It was one of the games that we watched. So we watched, which is what we're going to continue to talk about today. Obviously, Giants.
Oh, we're going to talk about games.
Yeah. Kind of steered. I see why PFF, why they're like, oh, every game 2.5 hours. Like, it's got to be, because you go through these little tangents.
Yeah, that's why they're
Sometimes you got to talk about the Giants for 15 minutes while you're talking about the Dolphins Vikings game. That's just
be a little selfish, man. Got to be selfish sometimes.
Hey, it's exciting. They're 5-1. They deserve it. The Giants are looking.
It is exciting.
Looking good. And fuck, if the Ravens don't make the playoffs, like it looks like they're not going to, maybe I'll root for the Giants this year in the playoffs, because I think
welcome you with open arms.
I think this is going to be a good segue into the next game, which is the Chiefs Bills game. Like, best quarterback play you'll see all season. They're on a crash course. It's really a shame that the Bills and the Chiefs aren't in 2 different conferences, because that Super Bowl would just be, it's a shame that they stop at the AFC, because both of those teams are probably going to be there at the end. And realistically, after that game, both of those teams are going to deserve to be in the Super Bowl. But it's going to come down to, like it did this past week, and the AFC Championship game, and the last time that they met before that, and that, and that. I mean, Mahomes and Allen are just like it. They're just insane, Like it. There's no words to say. Like, some of the things that Mahomes can do, obviously, just the pocket awareness, pocket presence. He threw an interception, so he's probably not good anymore. Maybe the NFL found him out. He's washed.
It's amazing too, because I saw that interception, and then I completely forgot about it and looked at the box score and saw that he had the interception, and I was just like, oh shit, yeah, that's right, I did see that. It was like such a bang bang play. But that's another one where it's the quarterback play, the score itself was just baffling afterwards. Like, looking at it again and being like, coming down to the wire in the fourth quarter, you're like, this is 17-17.
It should be 55.
I've been watching these guys. They've looked good this whole game. How is it 17-17, going into the last 5 minutes? How is this possible? This is Allen and Mahomes, and I watched them play. They weren't playing bad. Like, yeah,
Yes.
the defenses were both playing great, but like they were also playing really, really good ball. And then all of a sudden, it's like it's just baffling that they scored that little amount
Dude, the
um,
defenses,
of
the defenses,
points.
the defenses of that game need to like that's going to be their best performance all year, or I guess I should say until they play each other again. Because I mean, to hold either one of those
Yeah,
offenses to 17 points is that's like holding a team to like 3 points or like a touchdown, like back in the day. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
we're talking about two of the best
right.
quarterbacks now, which if they continue their trajectory, two of the best quarterbacks ever. Like, dude, some of the
Yeah,
throws that Allen was making, and some of the, and then obviously what he can do with his legs. I hope it never comes to it. Um, just because of all the Lamar slander that I've heard over the years, and he's not gonna last, not gonna last. But fuck, man, the hurdle, like he's 250 pounds, dude. He's
yeah,
huge, and he's 6'4", and he runs like he's fucking Brees Hall. Like it's insane. He wasn't fast at the
yeah.
combine either.
No, no. I mean, he's not fast. Like, yeah, for a quarterback, he's fast, but it's like
Of,
even when he's running, he's not like running away from guys. He's not running past guys. He's just taking the space that they give him, and then he's jumping over them, running through them, stiff arming
yeah,
them.
picking up
He's
15
just
yards.
willing his way to whatever he wants. But he's also got a shit ton of weapons, which is the other amazing thing is like
Yeah.
Mahomes is keeping it close, and he's really only got Kelsey. Because like
Hey,
Juju, MVS,
I mean,
Sky Moore,
if we
McCole
get
Hardman, like none of them are really doing much.
yeah, if we get more games like that from Juju though, that's going to be like killer or not maybe not killer bees because that was Ben Brown and Bell, but no, I mean if we get a little bit more of that, he's going to look like he did when Antonio Brown was the number one in Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
if
I mean, it's one of those things, though. It's like a
yeah,
million paper cut kind of approach, where he's just like
yeah,
chipping, 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 chipping.
yeah,
And then you get on the other side, you got Diggs, and Gabriel Davis, and McKenzie, and
your boy Shakir.
here,
Yep,
and Dawson Knox was back this week, and he looked really good again, coming back from injury. Um,
yep.
but it's just like it's just amazing that was the case. 'Cause, Diggs looked amazing, and that was another one where it was like they could not stop him, and they
Like
still
how
stopped
though?
him
How and yeah,
somehow.
how
They
do
kept
you?
him out of the end. It's like kept him out of the end. I think he did get in there once, but for the most part, they kept him out of the end zone, and it's just like that offense is just so ridiculous, and like
Dude.
Diggs. I don't know how he doesn't just run away. Like, granted, like I love Justin Jefferson, I
Yep.
love Devontae Adams, and like
Yep.
they're getting volume, obviously, but like Diggs is so good. I'm not saying
Yep.
he's better than them. Like he's so good. He's such a talented route runner. Like he's great
Yeah.
at separation. He runs the full, the full route tree. But
Yeah.
like the pure volume of targets that he gets from Josh Allen is insane.
Lee Low.
Like
Like
insane.
he doesn't get very many targets, but he makes such good like he just makes good he's so efficient. Right. That's what
Yeah.
you're I'm just trying to elaborate
Right.
on the same point that you are. Like he's just
Well, I'm,
so
I'm just saying, like he gets like a ton. Like the targets are like through the roof, like to
oh,
him,
okay.
and like
Okay, yeah, yeah.
Allen throws it a lot. Like I know that. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but like he doesn't throw it more than a lot of these other guys. Him and Mahomes are throwing it just as much. Even in I almost said Oakland, even in Las Vegas, Carr's throwing it a ton, but like Adams
Yeah.
isn't getting as many targets as him.
Yeah.
The only person that's really getting as many targets as Diggs is, Cup,
Yeah.
and for obvious reasons because
Fun.
apparently we were wrong with we were wrong
A-Rob.
with Allen Robinson. Apparently he
Yep.
did get old.
Ah, but like
Everybody thought it was Nagy being an idiot in Chicago, but he's just he looks spent. And they
well,
got nobody else,
I
it's
mean,
like Tutu Atwell.
You spend
Traded away Robert Woods.
You spend three seasons with Matt Nagy in offense, and then having Mitch Trubisky, which, no offense, he looked good. He looked good, but that's because he's fighting for his NFL life right now.
He looked good in relief.
But like, I don't know, dude. Like, Matt, it doesn't make sense to me. He was quarterback proof, and now he has the best quarterback he's ever had, and he just doesn't look like he wasted his entire career in Jacksonville and
Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago, and then now he's stuck at the Rams. Not stuck. Well, this isn't the year to play for the Rams. Maybe last year he would have done some stuff.
Yeah, it's not like Stafford's lighting it up.
Yeah, but back to the game, man. I mean, both defenses are championship. I mean, Spags obviously is a championship coach. Shout out the only guy to fuck up Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. Maybe not fuck up. That's bad. Yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for Spags, because he was for both Super Bowl wins, right? He was the D coordinator with Coughlin. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then he went to St. Louis.
Yeah,
for his brief stint as head coach.
I vaguely remember that, but that's funny. Oh, was that had to have been pretty.
He's one of those guys that realized real quick. He's like, I'm just a really good defensive coordinator. I shouldn't be a head coach.
There's nothing wrong with that. You can make tons of fucking money.
Something that Shanahan still hasn't figured out.
You think Kyle? You think Kyle's not? You think he should go back to just being an OC? I mean,
yeah, he's not a head coach. He's an elite offensive coordinator. Like, look at the running backs that he turns into. Just like every year, it's a different guy. He turns into a workhorse running back, and it's just like insane.
And really, the only person that's done well.
He can't figure out how to manage an actual game.
My bad. No,
go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're good. There's a little lag, so hopefully we don't talk over each other too much moving forward. But no, yeah, I mean, the only running back that's done well post 49ers career is Mostert. And he's not even, I mean, he looked good in the Dolphins. I mean, not to go back to that game.
Yeah, he's looked great so far, but
not to go back to that game, but like their offense is fast, man. Miami's offense is just a bunch of speed demons running around. Like, you're just watching
at every position.
Everyone runs sub 4.3, like, or sub 4.4. It's like, what are we doing? But yeah, no. It's a collision course. I mean, we could talk about that game for 2 hours. But it is like it's a collision course for them and whoever's in the NFC, which fucking could be the Giants, could be. I mean, I think this is going to be a good segue into the next team we're going to talk about, which is the Packers. Which, like, what is going on, dude? I mean, I guess we're seeing what's going on with the lack of weapons.
Yeah. Because, don't get me wrong, the Jets are on the upward side of things. They're moving in the right direction. Zach Wilson is not, but the rest of the team is moving in the right direction. Breece Hall looks like a superstar.
He made a couple sick throws. Zach made
Wilson
a couple.
Did?
Dude, that one rollout to the right, like the combine throw that everyone likes to like joke about. Like, what do people need to do these combine throws? It's like that's
you can do in the game.
Yeah, they literally can. Yeah. And why the fuck don't they use Corey Davis more? If they did, their offense would probably be better. I don't understand. I get Wilson. Garrett Wilson's been a dog.
I mean, they paid him.
Why don't you use Corey Davis? Where is he? Let him out. Free him. Free my dog, Corey Davis.
It's not like it's a different. Yeah, it's not like it's a different. A different front office. It's the same It's the same front office that paid him.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
But I mean, they've got I know they've got a lot of weapons, but they don't have that many. They've got three solid guys. They've got Corey Davis, they've got Garrett Wilson, they've got Elijah Moore. It's not like they've got like 5 or 6 young guys that, like, they can still get him the ball.
100%. And then obviously Conklin's going to get a couple. He makes big plays. He doesn't make a lot of them, but he makes big plays. Uzama. Yeah, but then to the second guy or the third guy that you were about to talk about, Breece Hall, man. Jeez.
Getting it done, man.
And he's fast. He looks fast. He looks like
yeah.
I don't even know, like Daniel Tomlinson fast. Like he moves fluid.
Right.
Like what
this running back draft class, I know we talked about it before the season, excuse me, and like this running back class is really good and was really, really underrated coming in. But they're showing why pretty early. You know, everybody was talking about like, oh, don't get too excited because Breece Hall it's going to take a while because Michael Carter's still there, and it's like Michael Carter. Like I know he was a third. I know he was also a third round pick, but like, actually no, Breece Hall was a second round pick. But yeah. I know. You know, Michael Carter was a third round pick, and that's like high capital for a running back. But like Breece Hall being in the second round is because nobody drafts running backs in the first round anymore. It's not because he's a second round running back.
No,
he's just an elite running back. And now everybody's finally catching up with the fact that you don't draft running backs in the first round.
Yeah. And dude, you can have if Breece Hall existed 15 years ago, he'd be a top 10. He would have been a top 10 pick. You know what I mean? Like,
absolutely. Yeah.
No question. I mean, the kid, like, there's a few of those runs where you're like, okay, it's done. You know what I mean? Because the Packers defense should be good in theory. Obviously, they've been underwhelming, to say the least. I mean, the Jets O-line did look good against their front, but man, Breece Hall just finds and this is all no slight to Michael Carter. I really liked Michael Carter because introduction.
He's a good running back. He's not Breece Hall.
No, I mean, not many running backs in the NFL look like
he should
Breece
not
Hall.
Be standing in his way.
No, dude, and my introduction to Michael Carter was when the Tar Heels shellacked the Hurricanes and had like 600 yards rushing because it was Michael Carter and then Williams.
Michael Carter and Javonte Williams.
I was like, okay, these guys are both going to be stars in the NFL, and like, sure fucking enough, like, look at. I mean, Michael Carter's maybe not be.
How do you think Trubisky had so much time to throw the ball?
Yeah,
everybody was worried about that run game.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point that I've never thought about before. That makes perfect sense. That's because everyone's like, oh fuck, look at this, because like, look at nothing's changed.
You're gonna worry about two guys. Look, it's such a good rotation.
And not to mention, well, two NFL caliber guys, obviously, because they were both drafted pretty high. You know, not high, but for a running back high. But man, their missed tackle rate, dude, they're still doing it. Jamal Williams, I think, not Jamal Williams. I'm sorry. What am I trying to? This is obviously bad podcasting. Forgive us. This is our first one, and this is my bad. Who am I? It's Javonte Williams, correct? I have to.
Javonte,
yeah. Why did I say Jamal Williams, man? Jesus, he's in Detroit.
It happens.
Yeah, brain fart. There's a lot of good players out there. But yeah, Javonte Williams. I saw them both, and I was like, both of these kids are going to the league. No question.
R.I.P.
Fuck, dude. Man. But yeah, I mean, whatever else you have to say about Breece Hall, or I mean, Salah's jumping around. Anything? You could.
I mean, the defense is the defense also is looking mighty good over in the Jets too. You know what I mean? Because it's like Breece Hall's getting all the love for obvious reasons because he's taken over games these last few weeks. You know, Garrett Wilson was getting a ton of love while Wilson was on the sideline because Flacco was just peppering him with balls. And I mean, him and Olave are showing exactly why people need to stop with this whole Ohio State hate with the wide receivers and the position players, because it's just like, these guys can do it all. Why? Like, I don't know why you were questioning this.
Stop. You're a homer.
Like, they do everything.
Get out of here.
You're right. I am a homer.
You're a homer. Get out of here. No, I'm just kidding. You know how I felt.
They can literally do everything. Like they run a complete route tree. They get separation. They can go deep. They can do the short and intermediate. Like throw them the ball and they're going to make a play.
Yeah.
You know, Olave's already shown out. Like granted, it took some injuries for him to really truly show out. You know, with Thomas and Landry both going down. But it's like, if he's not who he is, he's not going to show out the way he has. You know, it's like, he's going to chip in a little bit here and there, like other guys have in the past. Because you've had your Tyquan Thorntons, not Tyquan Thornton.
I'm pretty sure
another rookie that doesn't even play. But
Tyquan Smith.
Smith, that's what I was trying to think of. Tyquan Smith. And then you had, Marcus Callaway, who had like decent games because they were the only people available. But it's like Olave is just like his air yards are ridiculous. Like his average depth, like the average depth of target for this the plays that he's doing are like through the roof. Like it's never been seen before. Granted, it's a small sample size, so it's like whatever.
Yeah. Well, but to your point. To your point with Olave specifically, and because Jets, they're with Wilson, they're all healthy, but with Olave specifically, like, I mean, he's getting number one coverage guys now. You know what I mean? Like, because Thomas has been out, Landry's been out, all that type of stuff. So it's not like he's being the third option as they envisioned him to be, and maybe fighting for two with Landry. Because let's be real, Landry's fine with that role. He was fine with that role in Cleveland, even though, like, but he's fine in the slot role. He's not one to complain.
He's perfect. He's perfect as a slot wide receiver.
I mean, he's perfect for exactly what they were missing and what they need now that they have. I mean, they have Olave now to stretch the field. Thomas, they could be a sneaky team if Jameis comes back and. I mean, who knows what you're going to get with him? Or even
that back in a hurry.
Yeah, get what? Sorry.
I mean, Dalton's looked good. Andy Dalton's actually looked good, in the limited. I mean, there even with the pieces they're missing on defense, the defense has been playing pretty well, and that's even been without Lattimore and a lot of other pieces. But speaking of defenses, we were talking about the Jets-Packers. The Jets defense.
Yes.
Has been looking really good. Quinnen Williams has been playing really well. He's another one that's looking like one of the top 5 defensive tackles. And then Sauce Gardner is everything we hoped he would be.
Yep.
He's one of these guys. He's a big presence, obviously. He's a little bit of a showboater, but he's a shut-down cornerback. Like, he's just shutting everybody down, making plays. Yeah, he's locked down. Yeah, locked down. 100%. And they're forced incompletions. This isn't like him just kind of, getting lucky and
it's not Trayvon Diggs interceptions last year.
Plays. He's breaking up plays.
Yes.
Like himself. This isn't like just like, he's locking these guys down and it's whatever. Like he's legitimately getting his hand on the ball, which I would hope he would because he's got like Shaquille O'Neal wingspan.
Yeah, he's pretty he's pretty ridiculous, honestly. Like I mean, and he's so fucking fluid, dude. Like he's so fluid. You just watch him in coverage and stuff and the kid moves he looks like fucking Deion Sanders. There was some guy on Twitter that was like upset with someone putting him in saying best start of the career. Like, and this guy was upset because it was with the name of like Deion Sanders, Jalen Ramsey, Revis, this and that. And it's like, I don't know what to tell you. If he continues the way he's playing now, he is absolutely in that conversation with any guy, any all-time great. Watch him play
it correctly. So what are you getting angry about?
Yeah, it was
like
super.
If they said start the career, it's like just stop there. And why are you so angry? It's like this is the start of his career.
Yeah,
you can compare it to anybody.
the first 5 games. Like, yes, the first 5 games. The first 5 games, you can compare his first 5 games to So you're going to hold the fact that
literally anybody
he hasn't played more games against him. Like, it's what have you done for me lately? The last 5 weeks, he looks like one of the best corners in the NFL. Like, no question. And then you see what that does to the defensive line rotation and stuff. DJ Reed's also playing very well.
Yeah.
You got Whitehead from Tampa in there now. I mean, they have some pieces, man. CJ Mosley's
Carl Lawson's finally back.
CJ Mosley looks like he did in Baltimore. He's moving around good. Quincy Williams, the other Williams brother, I believe, he's an
outside linebacker, right?
I think he's inside outside. I think he's kind of like a rotation, like he does because he's done. I mean, he's just a sideline. I could be incorrect about that. I'll obviously moving forward, I'll make sure that I have.
It was definitely a linebacker. I know that.
Yeah, he was just making plays, filling holes. Like there was one fill specifically that was just like textbook. You know what I mean? Hit the gap, shed his blocker, and then I think he literally like scooped up and dropped Aaron Jones, which he's a tough guy to tackle. You know what I mean? Like, but really just long story longer, that Jets defense looks really serious. Like it looks it looks pretty like I know the Packers aren't a great litmus test right now because who knows what the fuck's going on over there. But like
you still have pieces though, so it's like
I
mean, you've got Aaron Rodgers, you've got Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon, you've got Lazard, you've got Dobbs, Dobbs, and then Tunyon is still there, so it's like they've got pieces. It's not like they're like some scrubs that don't have anybody. It's not. Like I know they're not like gelling, but like they've got pieces, so like they should be doing better than they are. They're not getting good offensive line play.
That's a big issue.
Bakhtiari's back, which is really good, and he played really well this week, even though they got their asses handed to them.
Yeah. He's just,
but I think they've done rotating him because they were rotating him the last couple of weeks to kind of ease him in. He played 100% this week, which was really cool to see.
Dude,
so I mean, now they're locking down that left tackle spot, but
he is
a lot more from the rest of that line.
He is a weapon, dude. The way he angers is just, and like loses very little ground. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, prior to his injury, he was one of the best, if not the best in the league, depending on what you want for an offensive tackle. But man,
I would put him right up there with Williams. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. He's not necessarily the nasty run blocker that Williams is. I would say it's kind of like a Kittle-Kelsey debate. Well, Kittle's tough, but, or I should say Gronk-Kelsey, because Kittle's got to do a lot to get in that same realm as Gronk and or Kelsey. But the Gronk-Kelsey debate, you know what I mean? I like my tackles to be able to pass block at an elite level and also run block at an elite level. I know that's a lot to ask for because it's like not one or the other. There's a lot to ask for
in this day and age.
But and the nasty dude, Trent Williams in space is just like it's fun. It is fun. Well, yes, it's not fun for the defense. That's very apparent. And now they got rid of the going low rule. You can't go low as a defender. So it's like, what do you do? What do you do when that guy's running at you and you're 6'1"?
You either take it or you get out of the way.
And you're 6'1" and a buck 90, 200 pounds as a corner. You're just like, oof. But
here it comes.
Bach. Yeah. Here comes the fucking freight train. But Bakhtiari's back, dude. I mean, they're going to figure it out, right? Like, we're talking about Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, they always do.
Same with Tampa. Like, I'm not worried about any of those teams. If they're still looking like this, as Packers specifically, come like week 10, I'm going to be like, that's tough. The Bills, I guess, is coming up soon on their schedule, so that'll be a very good litmus test, and I think it's after their bye, if I'm not mistaken. Which, fuck, the Bills are going to be a buzzsaw for anyone, man. Like,
Yeah.
I just back to that game that it fuck man. I don't see another team in the NFL that competes with either of them. And I'm a Ravens fan, and they could, if they fixed a few things and looked better, they could be absolutely in that conversation. But there's no team currently that, even the Eagles, man. I think the Eagles would get, which we got about maybe like 10 minutes left. So maybe we'll slide into the Eagles Cowboys game to kind of round it off for the first episode to conclusion. Seems like we can use a little more time. We'll talk more about that. But
we need that PFF budget.
Yeah, the PFF budget. Gotta get that PFF budget. We'll hit up Sam and Steve, and maybe they can sponsor the pod. You know what I mean? Just do the Lord's work and help a younger, much younger pod. No, obviously we're looking forward to building our fan base and getting everything sorted. But yeah, dude, Eagles Cowboys. That Cowboys defense.
Eagles Cowboys, yeah.
They're definitely the best two teams in the NFC, you know, and that's just because of the ambiguity with the Giants. There's no slight to your Giants. We were talking about.
I feel like the Vikings are a little bit higher than the Cowboys, but
I don't know.
But who knows? With Dak back, I can change my mind.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I don't know. After watching what I watched today, the Vikings, they just didn't. Like, I know they won the game against the Dolphins and all that type of stuff, but like what I was watching, it's just not like there's just like, obviously Cooper Rush isn't ideal, and we clearly figured that out when they played a good team for once. You know what I mean? Like, obviously
he's not undefeated as a starter anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that there was quarterback controversy in any capacity was absurd, dude. Like Dak's a $40 million a year quarterback. You know, he's going to be fine. He's going to be...
A lot of quarterback controversies, though, Jeremy.
Yeah, especially Jerry Jones.
Tony Romo got a job. T.O. just told them that he was going to be the quarterback.
I mean, you're not wrong.
My friend Tony.
Me, my friend Tony.
I know. It's sad, but it's true.
But
sometimes it works.
Eagles.
I'm just glad his wife doesn't have to watch it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you watched that game. His wife looked like she was gonna have a mental breakdown.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Eagles Cowboys game was really good. You know, it was one of those things where I know we were talking about, like, you know, best teams, all that, whatever, but you know, the Eagles so far through 6 weeks, they got the bye this week, so we don't get to see them this coming week. But through the 6 weeks, you know, I think even now, I'm not saying they're the best team in the league, but I think if you put them up against everybody else and even the Bills, I think they're the most well-rounded team.
Yes,
because as far as like run pass balance, and then defensive balance. I mean, granted, like the Bills could have a better defense than the Eagles.
Yeah.
Just like apples to apples. But like the Eagles defense is playing at an elite level. And those corners, I mean, Bradbury and Slay are just ridiculous, where it doesn't even matter who's behind them or who else is out there, even in front of them, even though like Cox and Jordan Davis and Brandon Graham and Sweat are all like playing ridiculously.
Well, during the offseason, you're not an Eagles fan. You're quite the opposite. And you slightly loathe the Eagles.
Yeah.
But Chauncey Gardner CJGJ.
Yes.
He was a sneaky late addition, man. Like, I know they added Bradbury late as well.
That was a great trade. Super late trade.
And look at what he's done. So to your point, who they have behind them, like obviously I think McLeod is still there. And like they have a couple
Yeah.
other rotational guys, but
Wallace.
like yes, and then Maddox I think rotates in there, but like to have Chauncey
Yep.
Gardner, CJG,
CJGJ.
CJGJ, and behind those two, like obviously to your point, it
Yeah.
doesn't matter who's behind him, but to have him back there, like he was a great pickup, and I think the Saints are missing him a little bit. You know, Matthew's good, but
Yeah, because he's a great coverage guy, but like
Yep.
with them out there, he gets to be a little bit more of a ball hawk, which is nice.
yeah, and he has a nose for the. I mean, he had a pick in the Cowboys game. The only reason,
Yeah.
so the reason why I would put the Cowboys above the Vikings, let me just rebuttal real quick, is there's not
Yeah, that's
really anything outside of Justin Jefferson which he hasn't really looked this year, to be honest, as dominant as that front seven for the Cowboys. I know this isn't the best thing to talk about for you being a Giants fan, but man, dude, like, and then so to talk about the Eagles again when you were saying well rounded, I'm having trouble right now. Words are hard, Ed. Words are
Sorry.
fucking hard.
Nearing the end.
Well rounded. You saw them kind of get stopped quite a bit. I mean, my dad and I were talking about, I think I actually even tweeted out something along the lines of like that Spider-Man meme where it's like them pointing at each other, and I was like, Eagles Ravens in the second half, because the Eagles have come out ahead on those collapses. But so I posted that, and then they just found different ways to win. They found, dude, I agree. If there's any team as of now, week 6, after week 6, if there's any team that I would agree with you with the NFC specifically, I think they have the best shot of beating either of those teams. Granted, I still think they would get fucking shellacked by either one, the Bills or the Chiefs, whoever comes out of the AFC. But
That's definitely in the range of outcomes.
But what also is in the range of outcomes is the Eagles beating either of those teams, because to your point, they're the most well-rounded. I mean, we haven't seen it too much this year, but how many times in Tennessee with A.J. Brown would just take over a game? I mean, this breaks my soul that I have to bring it up, but a game or two against the Ravens, he just goes fucking off and he says, I'm going to win the game for my team. And to have that option is invaluable for Jalen Hurts. And I mean, look at the fucking kid, dude. The quarterback, he's fine. He can get the leg. He can do it with his legs. He can do it with his arms. And with his arm, he's making a bunch of throws. We do need to see, just because this is where we live, we do need to see it in the playoffs. You know what I mean? We need to see how he responds and gets better. It's the same shit that people say about Lamar. It's the same shit that people say about Josh Allen and Mahomes, or said about Josh Allen and Mahomes. It's the reason why people don't think Herbert is a top 5 quarterback, which that's a whole different conversation we'll have on a completely different day. But
I might be swayed this year.
Yeah, this year's not looking good. But I mean, the Eagles, they have the best offensive line in the NFL. Their run game looks good. Their defensive line is stout. Jordan Davis.
And they're doing the same thing they did last year, where they've got injuries popping up, and they're still just piecing together the best offensive line no matter what. Doesn't matter who's going out there.
Yeah, Mailata goes.
Kelsey's in the middle, and they're just whoever they put on the outside. It doesn't matter. Kelsey's on the inside, and the rest of the guys are going to figure out. Now, granted, it got real messy.
Yeah.
At the end of that game with the Cowboys, because when Driscoll went in there at right tackle for Lane Johnson, they were really taking advantage of that. And he did not look good.
Yeah, he didn't.
And they really don't have any other answers if Lane Johnson is done.
Yeah,
so that might end up being a season-long issue if they can't find an answer.
Well, once Mailata comes back, what about the guy that stepped in for Mailata? Can he bounce to the right side? Like that's. I don't know. They might be able to figure it out. To your point though, like Kelsey seems to be. It's concerning, obviously, if if he can't come back. You know what I mean? If Lane Johnson can't come back, just because he's also playing at a very high level. You know, he's playing very well for being 75 and on a completely different side than what he's played his entire career. Like, yeah, dude, I think it's I think the Eagles are great, but I think this is gonna wrap up the end of episode 1 of Coast to Coast. And again, my name's Jeremy. This is Ed, and hope you guys enjoy.